Hi everybody and welcome to the very first episode of the Aussie Geek Party Chat podcast. This is going to be the Aussie Geek weekly podcast. We're going to be discussing comics, we're going to be discussing video games, TV, movies, geek culture, you name it. Joining me in this particular episode are Mick.
Hi.
And Darren.
Hello.
And Mick and Darren own the site. I am the editor-in-chief. My name is Nick, and if you guys have read the site, you probably know us pretty well. But if you don't, we'll go in a quick sort of circle, I guess, clockwise, and we'll introduce everybody, and then we'll get into some news and views. How does that sound, guys?
Sounds good to me.
All right, so we'll start with you, Mick. How about just a little bit about yourself, your interests in geek culture, geek gaming, and that kind of thing, and I don't know, any other information you want to give us, like your bank account maybe?
There's nothing in it in the first place. So I'm Michael. I'm one of the co-founders of Aussie Geek. Myself and Darren started the site a couple of years ago. We had a fairly common interest in initially video games, but all had a manner of geekdom, I guess. My gaming history goes right back to the good old days of the Apple IIe, for those of you old enough to remember it. So play a lot of games over that time. Also represent, yeah. Also interested in sort of more broader geek culture, things like obviously comics. I'm a massive board game fan, and you'll hear me talking about it and hear people tuning out. And yeah, just really keen to get some conversations going about all manner of things geek.
Yeah, nice, man. How about you, Dad?
Hey everyone, I'm Darren. I'm the other co-founder of Aussie Geek. First and foremost, I'm a huge gamer. Primarily play console games, but I have all the platforms and tend to play everything. Yeah, I also love watching movies, TV, into comics, and collectibles in general. Well, I'm not going to show you, but there's plenty of crap around this room.
It's true. We can assure the viewers or viewer. We can assure the viewer that there is a lot of crap around your room.
Can confirm.
Can confirm. And my name is Nick. I'm the editor-in-chief at Aussie Geek. I've been writing for the site and sort of helping run it, I guess, on and off, for as long as these guys have been running it. I mainly review and edit nowadays. I love comics. I read a stack of Marvel, pretty much every Marvel release every week. Still a fan of DC, I guess. Not so into the TV and movies anymore, just because I have a 4-year-old child who takes up most of my spare time, as they do. But still find time to get into the gaming. I think the three of us can all confirm a real shared love for gaming predominantly, but just geekdom in general. And that's what this is all about. That's what this podcast is. This is going to be our chance to get together once a week, and there'll be a bit of a rotating cast as well. Like, you know, we can't always make it every week, so hopefully we'll have some other contributors or people who are interested in being on. And we're basically going to talk the week in gaming, or the week in comics, movies, TV, board games, D&D, I don't know, whatever we're playing at the time. It's D&D. D&D might be going a bit too far.
Yeah, let's. Nah.
You do what you got to do.
I love D&D. I'm not going to lie. If I had a chance, I would still play it now. So yeah, this is going to be our podcast, I guess, where we get to discuss all the things that we love, as well as on the site. We'll get to discuss it here. And we'll also be able to share sort of things as they happen on the site too, or on our Twitch or YouTube, Facebook, you know, the website itself. This will be sort of our info drop and our chance to discuss it face to face, and also maybe get some viewers interested in sort of coming along and maybe sending some questions or some opinions or anything really. So yeah, that's the pod, and that's us. So what we'll be discussing this week is predominantly gaming news, because there's probably not a whole lot of other stuff going on this week. So we'll get right into it. I think we can all agree that November is pretty cray when it comes to gaming. Like, there is a lot of stuff out this week. this month. Sorry, so we've got just off the top of my head, Halo 5, Black Ops 3, Tomb Raider, Fallout 4, Battlefront, Need for Speed, StarCraft, Hearthstone expansion. There's an Overwatch beta going on. Paladins, the new FPS from Smite. Developers Hi-Rez has also just got an open beta. There's a lot going on. Do we think this is good, bad, what?
It's a rough month for the wallet, to say the least. That's for sure. I think it's a good thing in some respects. It's great having a big selection of games to play, but at the same time, we've got a massive RPG in Fallout that's going to consume so much of people's time. It's kind of making it hard to pick up some of these other games that I'd otherwise be really interested in.
Yeah, I think it is a problem. I mean, I have pretty limited time, as I said, and even I barely got time for Fallout, and that's a game that is going to require hundreds and hundreds of hours of play. I'm at level 10, and I think I've played it for 12 hours, so I'm not very far into it. I think I'm maybe 2 missions into the story. It's not a long way. It's like, how on God's green earth would I fit in half the shooters, or even Battlefront? Jesus Christ! The amount of time I would sink into that if I had a chance. It just doesn't. I don't think there's enough time at all. And I understand why they drop all these games at this time of year, but at the same time, it's an embarrassment of riches.
Yeah, it's hard every night trying to work out what to play.
First world problem.
That is a literal first world problem right there.
What can I say? Because I really want to get back and finish Halo. Didn't manage to finish that before Call of Duty came out. Got halfway through that before Fallout and Tomb Raider dropped on the same day. So since then, I've been pretty consumed by Fallout, despite the fact that Tomb Raider is probably one of my favourite games, if not favourite game of the year so far. And then, like you said, we've got Star Wars dropping this week. In a couple of weeks' time, we've got tomorrow. Well, tomorrow from when we're recording, probably today.
Yeah, or maybe last week, depending on when we get it.
Well, true. And then we've got Just Cause 3 coming out in just under 2 weeks, I think it is, as well as Rainbow Six Siege. So too many games.
Oh yeah, I forgot about Siege. Jesus, yeah. It's a crazy one.
Well, this is probably the worst part of the whole thing is that these really what would be an amazing game. Siege looks really cool, but I'm totally forgetting about it because there's so much else stacked up right now.
I think it's problematic as well. People you forget. There's so much coming out, and I understand why developers and publishers get everything out right before Christmas. It's to sort of let it really seep into the old brain pan kind of thing, so that wear it like one of those things from Futurama on the side of your head. But there's just too much, and they're running into one another constantly. I'm sure some of these games haven't sold anywhere near as well as they should because they're competing with one another, and they're all after that November cash money.
Yeah, I think Siege is going to have a big problem, being the 4th shooter to come out within a month and a half, and following big names like Halo, Call of Duty, and Star Wars. It's going to be really tough for that game to find a foothold.
Halo in particular sort of was universally praised. I haven't heard anything about it yet. That's kicking off with that, and then having everything follow after that. It's a tough gig.
Yeah, I think Halo kicking it off, like you said, probably will work in the favour of that game. I haven't heard definitive sales numbers, but I expect that did do well. Other games are going to suffer, and we've just heard the initial sales figures from Europe anyway for Tomb Raider, and it's getting spanked basically.
Which some fanboys would probably like.
Well, at the end of the day, it doesn't do anyone any good because what is a tremendous game. Cause I've played a fairly decent chunk of it, and it's a really solid game. It's as good as the last Tomb Raider, if not better. But it's just going to be missed by a stack of people, and it's strictly because of its launch period.
Yeah, I mean, it was already being missed by a lot of people based on the fact that it was made an Xbox One exclusive initially. It will come to PC, I think it's early next year, and PS4 at the end of next year. But having already limited the pool of people that they could sell that game to, releasing it on the same day as Fallout 4 was a terrible mistake.
Yeah, I can't help it. I mean, I thought that the first of the reboots, I guess you could call them, was a phenomenal game. I mean, a game of the year that it came out. I adored it, and the remake of it on the next gen consoles was just as good, if not better, even if Lara's hair occasionally went a bit wacky. So it's a massive shame that, and potentially a horrible marketing decision, that Microsoft poured all this money into getting a timed exclusive, which they've pissed away by launching it at such a horrendous time of year. I mean, people just...
The simple fact that the launch day was Fallout 4. Yeah, that's the problem. Like, it could have launched alongside... it could have launched alongside Battlefront and smashed it. It could have launched alongside COD, probably would have still done really well. It's gone against Fallout, and Fallout is, 7 years since Fallout 3. I mean, people have been waiting for this like it's, yeah.
I think it needed to clear out even further than that. I don't think either Battlefront or Call of Duty would have done any better for it. What I believe Microsoft needed to do, and it would have come down to timing of when the games were going to be ready, but they needed to flip Forza and Tomb Raider. They needed Tomb Raider to come out, was it late September, and have Forza go up against these games now, because being a racing game, the only one really that's, it would have then, I guess, bumped up against Need for Speed, yeah. But I don't think Need for Speed would have put a dent in Forza either. So, it's all come down to timing. I really think that it should have been delayed or pulled forward if that was at all possible. But yeah, they've basically killed it.
Given the tremendous amount of stigma that has been going on with this current generation, a lot of things being delayed, do you reckon delaying it would have just been a bit of a, I don't know, potentially hurting the brand itself?
Absolutely not. I think this year we really found out just how powerful delaying a game could be. The Witcher was delayed and it came out. It was brilliant. It could have been anything if they just launched it whenever, but they didn't. They kept it. They worked on it. They fixed what they needed to fix, and it was fucking phenomenal when it came out. Like, again, universally praised. Everyone was stoked with it.
Yeah, so it didn't affect Batman either. Batman was delayed, it was like 9 months by the end of it when it actually came out. So, and it still sold really well when it did release. So,
it did release in a really well. It launched. Well, the PC version is still not working from memory, but
yeah, exactly. They should have delayed it for even longer to get the PC version working,
or not do it on PC. But the Batman was a different story because it launched in a dry period, like a really dry period, like. Anything in a that you can plug into a console would have sold well. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a reasonable statement, but it runs the risk of just being a bit too cut and dried. I don't think people are just, well, maybe Darren will just go and buy a game because it's out. I mean, just because there's nothing else to buy.
No, but it's a fairly well-received title.
True.
Will sell better when there's nothing else around. Like if you had to put Tomb Raider at that same period, it would have sold buku amounts.
Well, I'm just looking up. I was trying to have a quick look for some Fallout 4 sales figures. Bethesda reckons it's shipped 12 million copies for launch day alone, which seems an awful lot.
And Tomb Raider's figures were somewhere around like 63,000 in Europe.
Yeah, and Fallout 4 had sold more than 1.8 million digital units across Steam, Xbox Live, and PlayStation Network. That's from a GameSpot article. So, yeah, they reckon.
I read somewhere that it at launch had more players than Grand Theft Auto 5 did at the peak of its multiplayer. Did anyone?
Well, it was the top played game at launch at one time. Sorry, this is from the same article, just what I got in front of me, reaching over 470,000 concurrent players, leapfrogging a previous record held by Grand Theft Auto 5. It also set a new record. Yeah, that was on Steam. and it set a new record to be the most viewed game launch of any game release. I think via Twitch or something like that, or streamers or something. Just crazy. I mean, yeah, Bethesda as well and truly being vindicated for doing what Bethesda does, which is making really, really good games and taking their time to do it and sort of not saying anything until they're ready to say anything. You know, I think a lot more developers could follow their lead and just work on their game. And I mean, maybe Bethesda's in a different situation, being owned by ZeniMax, and you know the money that's involved there. But I mean, you know, I guess Blizzard manages to do it with the Activision backing. You know, they don't tend to release stuff until it's good and ready to release.
Rockstar.
Yep.
Yeah, but again, I mean, 2K behind that, and a proven track record in the past of being able to deliver when they do delay. You know, Warner Brothers, for example, Rocksteady. You know, they've got the Batman games, and they got, what was it, the Warriors? They did that.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. But I don't know what else they've done, and they probably don't have the same clout. Like CD Projekt Red, they're their own company anyway. So I think it's rare that these developers are in a position where they can just delay. You know, they're beholden to their stakeholders, and that's why we get this glut at this time of year. You know?
That being said, we do tend to see of late EA games tending to get delayed. They tend to be. I've noticed over the last sort of 12 months that there seems to be a lot more of a focus on trying to, I guess, win back the community or the gaming community's approval. I don't know. Is this, maybe I'm misreading it, but I kind of get the impression that they're trying to be more transparent, trying to release the games when they're ready, not when it's on release date, sort of thing. So.
Yeah, well, I mean, Battlefront was delayed, but not Battlefront, Battlefield Hardline. Sorry, yeah, it was delayed from late last year to early this year. I didn't think it was a great game when it came out, but it worked. Unlike Battlefield 4.
That's true.
They bumped Need for Speed for 12 months. Said we're not releasing one for a year, and well, again, it ended up releasing Need for Speed this year. That still wasn't great, but they have been delaying things more than they had previously. But Bethesda they're not in the same ballpark. You can drop a game once every 4 or 5 years if it's going to be Game of the Year every time you do it.
Yeah, that's a fair point. But I think EA needs to. EA is not as bad as EA used to be, and I think EA gets a bit of a bum rap from people such as myself, who are significantly butthurt over what has happened to Battlefield over the last 2 iterations of it. But yeah, I think they're trying to win back that confidence, that consumer, you know, that thing where you get a game from them and it's a good game, you know. Madden's for a couple of years, FIFA's, you know, their sports stuff has generally been pretty good, but then you look at something like NBA Live, which has just been a disaster for them. Like, it's just been a black hole of money.
Did they release NBA Live this year?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, you know, I think that they're... Exactly. I think that they're trying really hard to sort of claw back some of that. I don't know, you could call it street cred, you could call it sort of confidence, consumer confidence. You know, they're going to make money every year anyway. You know, they just punt out a bloody FIFA and a Madden and they'd make more money than God regardless.
And now a Star Wars game, so...
Yeah, exactly. A DOS-made bloody Star Wars FPS be still my beating heart. But, yeah, I think they're actually listening to the community a bit more than they were previously.
There seems to be a concerted effort to try and remove that stigma of the evil corporation. But didn't they get voted the worst company in America, like last year or the year before?
I think it was worst place to work.
No, I think it was voted the worst company in America. Period. This was the same time same time that Exxon had their oil spill.
Yeah, and there's Walmart, like, you know, who pay their people slave wages.
It's just a stupid internet thing.
It's just crazy. So yeah, I mean, November, it's out of control. It's so busy, and I mean, I don't see it changing anytime soon because, well, Fallout 4 went up against some of the biggest boys on the block and has quite handily curb stomped them.
Well, we'll see when we get actual figures for Call of Duty and Battlefront as well. It'll be really interesting to see if all three of them sell really well within a week of one another. Then, yeah, I don't know. It's going to change anything.
I did see a Polygon article, which of course I'm not able to find now that I'm talking about it. I'm talking about Call of Duty shipping numbers, and they were saying that it was significantly improved over the last few years. Which I find interesting because although I'm not a huge Call of Duty player myself, I do find that I'm getting worn out by them all, quite frankly. Like, I don't even play them, and I'm exhausted by them.
I'm the complete opposite of that. I've picked up every one since about Modern Warfare 2, and I think that the ever-shifting sort of setting keeps it fresh. The multiplayer is, as it always is, it's dumb fun, but I actually find it quite fun. But I think that the campaign settings tend to, yeah, it's still the same bombastic Michael Bay style, explosion fest and all that. But for me, they've brought it into the future. They've added different things. Some people would say they probably ripped off Titanfall with the whole jumpsuits and all that sort of jazz, but for me it's still interesting. I still enjoy it. I still enjoy the campaign setting. It's fun.
Advanced Warfare had its jumpsuits and stuff as well. Like, if anything, I'd be accusing Black Ops 3 of ripping off Advanced Warfare if I knew that they weren't being developed at the same time. I found that article just quickly. It apparently racked up more than $550 million in sales during its first 3 days. And it's performing much better than the previous 2 Call of Duty titles Activision has announced.
Which I find quite funny, because I would have thought that Ghost, based on the fact that it was still previous gen with a massive install base, would have sold more, considering that this year's Call of Duty has a really crappy version on that previous generation, and you're basically just selling it to a far smaller install base on the new consoles now.
Just to continue the article real quick, Advanced Warfare was the highest selling game in 2014 in the US. Ghost was 2013's top selling game across the US and Europe in terms of units and dollars. On PS4 and Xbox One, sales of Black Ops 3 full game downloads were nearly twice as high as they were for Advanced Warfare. That seems on the surface to be pretty big numbers.
Well, the install base is probably twice as big as well.
Numbers are numbers. Like if that's what they're selling, then that's what they're selling. It's impressive nonetheless. It just goes to show that I really enjoyed Advanced Warfare. I really enjoyed it. The future tech sort of, not quite so over the top. Technology of it all was to me fascinating, really interesting, and the multiplayer was solid too. But just people year in, year out, they're picking it up. And more and more people are grabbing it.
You could easily say the same about any of the EA sports titles. It's the same concept. The people who buy FIFA 2014 bought FIFA 2015. They'll buy FIFA 2016. They'll just continue that habit. It's the same with the Modern Warfare gamers. They'll get that every year, and you take into account these people that may only buy 2 or 3 games a year. That's their big one. They'll get that, and they'll play that for 8 months, 9 months. They won't move on to a game in 2 weeks' time like certain people tend to. Look at you.
Hey, I played Call of Duty for a week.
Part of the problem, not the solution.
Fallout, what can I say?
Yeah.
If it wasn't for Fallout, I'd still be playing Call of Duty.
You'd be playing Tomb Raider.
Okay.
I should be getting Tomb Raider. I would love to get that. I'm replaying it on Xbox One. I'm loving it. Sorry, replaying the original. November, just crazy month for games. There is just a lot going on, and it doesn't look like it's going to change anytime soon. But springing out of that discussion, Tomb Raider, as you mentioned earlier, it's a game that came out and faced some really stiff competition, and is a timed exclusive for Xbox One.
Have they announced when or if there is officially going to be a PS4 version?
Yeah, it's next November, or next holiday. So.
Holy shit!
That's a long time.
It's
12 months.
12 months in the old money.
That's a really long time. Okay, so the question that has been presented here is then has this been just a woeful decision for Microsoft?
Yes.
Yeah.
Explain,
I think
next question.
Well, I mean, as we were talking before, the timing of it has not worked out very well. They paid a heap of money to get an exclusive. They were trying to fill a niche that they didn't have, where obviously Sony has their has Uncharted. But then they just sent it out to die against 3 of the biggest games within 3 weeks of 2015. Then I don't know why they bothered. If you're going to release it against Call of Duty, Fallout, and Star Wars Battlefront, why bother at all? If you're going to, I hope they paid a fair chunk of the bill. We'll put it that way, because Square Enix weren't happy about the sales figures. I think it was 6 million of the original Tomb Raider reboot. If they're not going to sell 600, if they're not going to sell 500,000 copies of this, what does it mean for the future of Tomb Raider?
In fairness, Square Enix did come out somewhat after that little tidbit and kind of sort of said, you know what, 6 million is actually quite a lot of units.
Only after they sold a heap more on the next gen versions. But they haven't even sold 100,000 copies from the figures that we've got so far. I mean, obviously it'll probably be a more of a slow burner, being that most people would have picked up Fallout. They might pick it up in December or get it for Christmas or whatever. But it's not going to get 6 million sales now, or even 3 million sales.
The traction's gone basically.
See, that's what I was hoping, that, you know, despite the sort of fairly soft launch and almost universally high scores for it, that maybe it would be one of those games that just slowly takes off.
I hope so,
you know,
because I love it, so I hope it really does.
I don't think it quite had the same sort of neutron bomb sort of effect that the last one did, where, you know, Lara's all new and all different and amazing, and she's great. She's a human being, and she gets hurt. And, you know, admittedly, she sort of seems to not worry too much about, you know, cleaning wounds. Like, infection's not a big deal for her, apparently. But
you are a dad, aren't you?
No betadine, no care. It's just, you know, it was a phenomenal game, and it kind of, when it dropped, it was a real kind of moment. For a lot of people, I think, because it was, you know, a beloved character. You know, it was a great reboot, looked great, played great. The story was really well written. I really enjoyed the story. It was the first time I actually gave a shit about Lara Croft. You know, Rihanna Pratchett did a really, really good job on writing that, I think. Admittedly, I haven't played the new one. I just don't have time at the moment. But yeah, I really want it to succeed. As a business decision for Microsoft, I don't know if I necessarily want it to succeed just so that Microsoft makes some cash, but that series deserves more, a lot more. That series deserves way more entries.
I suspect that Microsoft will be looking to, if they've penned this deal, they'll be looking for the getting the most value out of it, and they won't get that just with one game. I think that will be a multi-game deal they've stitched up. But even still, this would have to be hurting the pocket.
I don't know whether it was multi-game, and after the soft sales so far, I don't know whether Square Enix will dive into another deal like this again. But I don't know. I hope it continues to sell over the holiday break once people, you know, get sick of Fallout in 200 or 300 hours.
Yeah, I was about to say. Between that and The Witcher, I don't think I'm going to have to buy a game for the next, I don't even know how many months. Like, I still got to finish The Witcher. Like, yeah.
See you through till Cyberpunk comes out?
Yeah. Oh, don't.
I know! If they remain true to the source,
Yeah, I know. Pretty excited about that. Still, it's going to be 5 years before it comes out or something stupid, so, you know, we'll see. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so I think we can all agree that it might have been a bit of a dicey decision on Microsoft's part. Well, moving
Just
on
on that,
to...
just on that Tomb Raider thing, I've noticed a bit of a trend here. You look at the first Tomb Raider set on a jungle island, right? Kind of. Second one, set in the snow. What do you reckon the chances are the third one is going to be set, say, in the Sahara Desert?
That
So they
sounds
seem to
familiar.
be following the Uncharted progression.
Yeah, at least the opening scene of it. Yeah.
Are we talking crossover?
I'm not saying that they're trotting well-worn ground, but
They're trotting well working. I'm going to, when we finish this podcast, I'm going to go and write some Nathan Drake and Lara Croft fan fiction. I'm shipping that hard.
you can put it next to Doctor Who fan fiction, yeah?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's pretty exciting. So moving on to talking about the game that has probably just as much as anything done the biggest damage to Tomb Raider sales, Fallout 4. We've all played it. We are all playing it. Let's go around and just sort of give our quick thoughts, I guess. We'll start with you, Mick.
Well, I'm not sure if you've noticed this, but there's actually kind of a within Fallout, there's this metagame where instead of just building your base the whole time, you can actually get out into the wasteland and explore. It's really cool.
That's my favourite part of the game.
That's everyone I talk to is busy building their base furiously. I've got to say though, like it was when they first announced it, I thought, oh, that's pretty cool, and then kind of figured that that's going to be a real gimmicky thing. That's going to be clunky. It's going to be kind of rubbishy, but it's genuinely good. It's well done, and we're starting to see. I don't know if you've seen them. That we're starting to see screenshots and that sort of thing of things people have made, like pixel art Mega Man structures and all that sort of crap. It's really impressive. So I tip my hat to them on that one. That was the building function works really well.
I have two things to say about the building stuff. One, I am going against the grain and saying that I don't really enjoy it. And two, I don't like the way that some of the workbenches and stuff float on top of the ground instead of being on the ground.
You're just doing it wrong.
Yeah. Try putting them on the ground.
Yeah, I tried. I tried that. I just we'll go to Darren and I'll continue my thing later. But yeah, I just needed to throw that out there.
Yeah.
But I guess,
sorry, continue.
Sorry, I was just going to say, I think that's the strength of it is that it's not so ingrained that you must do it. For people who are, because there are going to be plenty of people like you who don't want to delve into that aspect of it, don't enjoy it, and they're not really penalised in any way.
There's only maybe a couple of missions that make you build things. Other than that, you can completely ignore it. Yeah, if you don't like building, don't do it. Just continue on with the missions.
And that's essentially what I'm doing. But at the same time, I feel like I'm maybe missing out on something by not doing it.
You are, because it's really cool.
Exactly. I just don't enjoy it. The thing that hooks me about Fallout is the exploration. It's about being told by somebody you should go and visit the Swan, and then visiting the Swan, and then hating them forever. It's about
stopping at a dozen places on the way to that swamp.
Exactly. It's about wanting to go to help out some settlers on a Minuteman mission and wandering across a satellite dish that needs to be cleared out of raiders. You know, it's that truly open world, anything can happen style experience that I really, really enjoy. And you know what? It's kind of scary as well, because you never know when a death claw is just going to be sitting there waiting to ruin your day. You know, and it's just, I think that they've absolutely nailed that. You know, they've really made that scary open world a scary open world. Technical difficulties, I think, is what we'll call it.
My headset's stuffed up.
Yeah, it's all Mick's fault, really.
Oh.
Hang your head in shame. We were discussing Fallout 4 before our unintended interruption. I had just finished saying that I don't really like the base building and how everyone is raving about the base building. And I think Darren was about to enter into an impassioned defense of the base building.
Well, maybe not impassioned, but I do enjoy it. Yeah, I've been loving Fallout. I'm level 22 now. I believe I am a little bit past halfway through the main story. I've done a whole heap of base building and the like. I've started collecting. I've set up my own pool table in my house. I've been hunting around to collect a full set of pool balls. I've got 3 to find, and then I'm done with the full 15 plus cue ball. I've got a room that I've set up that's got all my power armor in there. It's yeah, I'm having a good time.
Man cave.
Yeah, well, and I've got a room off to the other side where people sleep. And stay away from my damn power armor. Yeah, I've been enjoying the base building, but I mean the best thing about the game is obviously getting out about in the wasteland and just seeing what you find. There's I think Nick may have mentioned it before, and I have tricked a couple of people into going and visiting when they weren't quite ready for it. But one of the things that I'd just randomly stumbled across was a creature by the name of Swan, who can be found in a swan pond somewhere around Trinity Tower area. And
hey,
yeah, I was just
go check the swan out. Thanks.
Yeah, the swan. I was just running around, happened to jump into that lake, and yeah, well, let's just say that I
regretted
it
immediately.
Fun times were not had. But yeah, just stumbling across things like that, like being in a fight with raiders and then having a deathclaw just wander up behind me. It's yeah, just random stuff happening and finding random people around the place that tell you a story or give you a quest to go and help somebody else out. It seems never ending. It's massive. Yeah,
it's quite a living world, I think. You see stuff happening. The other day I was minding my own business and making my way from one place to another, and a rad scorpion popped out of nowhere, and I was like, oh god, he's coming for me. So I'm madly equipping whatever I can find and trying to get Codsworth to act as a shield. And then he turned around, or the rad scorpion turned around and just started chomping away on some Brahmin. And so I was like, sweet, thanks cows, and just ran for my life, kind of. So it's like, it's this sort of breathing world, which, I think very few games manage to do it open world wise. I guess you got your 10 poles, you got your you got your Witcher. Yeah, that's a pretty.
I think
The
Witcher did a living world almost better than Fallout. I think
The Witcher, I think, was a more realistic world. I think with the trees and the grass and the wind and all that other stuff, it was almost overwhelming in a sensory sense.
So we've all been kind of loving Fallout, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty. Is it GOTY? Or is it too early to call?
I would like to.
It's definitely in the nominations, right? That's safe to say, but
I think that goes.
GOTY.
Well, look, any game that can reportedly cause a drop in daily visitors to Pornhub is probably right up there in more than one way.
That was the best statistic I've ever seen. It's like launch day, Pornhub hits just plummeted.
Well, keep in mind that was reported by Pornhub. So,
well, it's an odd statistic to report, but then, apparently, according to the graph, about 4 days later, it shot up again, almost like people went, oh, that's right, porn's around.
Yeah, that's right. It's like, I've been holding the controller too long and my hand has turned into a claw. Oh.
Well.
Yeah, it was pretty good advertising there by Pornhub, I think.
Yes.
Basically, their name got tied to a Fallout article that every gamer in the world was reading, and they probably had a spike in visits the day after that happened. So,
I don't think it was just on sort of gaming sites that was reported either. I'm pretty sure the Guardian was running a similar article. I think it made the AP, so it went on New York Times, etc., as well. So,
do you think though that someone would read that article, go, huh, Pornhub had a drop in hits because of Fallout. I might mosey on over to Pornhub and see what it's all about. I don't know.
Maybe if I go there now, my video will load quicker. It did. Happy days.
Live the dream, Nick. Live the dream.
It's like walking into a concert hall and finding out you're the only person watching any music. Is anyone else here?
I mean, McDonald's still advertise. Everybody knows about McDonald's, but they still advertise.
Oh, this is true.
True.
But this, maybe not as much shame as McDonald's.
I'm not sure we really want to go into a discussion about how similarly tied fast food and pornography websites are, though. Like,
so moving on.
I think that's something we can safely leave off to one side.
Porn, the future of VR.
Yeah, it's futuristic.
Let's just keep moving, guys. This is downward spiral territory.
I would have to say at this point of time, my game of the year is probably a race between Fallout 4 and The Witcher 3. So
I'm not going to reveal mine. I'm going to be mysterious about it for our Game of the Year special.
The point I'm trying to make is I don't think it's a clear-cut Game of the Year. I think it's an exceptionally good game. But I'm
going to throw Tomb Raider in there too.
I think that any game where we're not unanimously declaring Fallout 4 as Game of the Year is a really good game. A really good year, sorry.
Yeah.
It just shows.
I think we've had a hell of a year. Yeah, there's been some genuinely great games that have come out this year.
Well, the same thing happened in the year that the reboot Tomb Raider came out, because we had Tomb Raider, Grand Theft Auto 5, and The Last of Us in the same year.
And Bioshock.
And Bioshock Infinite, yeah. So Game of the Year that year was kind of tough too.
Bloody Bioshock Infinite. Let's move on before I start ranting.
Backwards compatibility, man. It's going to be on Xbox One next month to play Bioshock Infinite again.
Everyone can play and be disappointed like I was.
What they need is...
The original will be too, so it's okay.
We all know they need to do Red Dead Redemption.
Yes.
Agreed.
I was having an epic whinge at Darren the other day because
no,
Darren...
that doesn't sound like you at all, Nick.
Like I have some bearing over what gets put on backwards compatibility.
Alright, I'll just get on to Phil.
Let me just call him.
If you're going to point these things out to me, you have to be the one who takes the brunt of my complaints.
Okay.
Because looking at what people are voting for
wasn't it Black Ops
backwards
1 or
compatible
something? Or...
Call of Duty,
Black Ops 2.
Call of Duty. It's a bunch of last-gen shooters, which I don't even know if they're running servers for half of them anymore. Like,
oh, you can still play all those, but that's exactly what I expected, though. If anybody expected Call of Duty to not make up 8 of the top 10, then they were kidding themselves.
I was kidding myself. I was kidding myself so hard.
So Black Ops 2 was number 1. Red Dead Redemption was number 2, which I was pretty impressed with, and obviously Microsoft will be doing everything in their power to get the okay to put that on there, and I expect it will happen before too long.
Surely they wouldn't have had it as a listed option if it just wasn't going to happen.
You could vote for anything. It wasn't a list. You could go on and vote for any game you wanted, and other people then voted for it as well. It wasn't a list that they gave out, and they've said that any game they are trying to get on there. So they would have gone through the list, whatever was in the top 50, or maybe even the top 500, and they would have been pitching it to all of the publishers to get those to happen. If you look at the list of 104 initial ones that came out, they're only from a very small pool of publishers. Obviously, a heap of stuff from Microsoft, which you would have expected, although a little bit of a surprise that there was none of the core Halo games included in that.
Well, they did just release the Master Chief Collection, so...
Yeah, that's a fair point. They're probably
but Halo Reach and Halo Wars are not in that, although they have both been confirmed to come out in December, so they didn't miss the initial launch anyway for long. But the Ubisoft are on board already, because there was a few Ubisoft games. Again, none of their really big ones, but South Park: The Stick of Truth was on there, which I was really excited about.
Finish that off the other day.
Yeah, it's now I can play it without having to dust off my Xbox 360 controller. It's good.
Cool.
Yeah. Well, look, guys, I think we've run out of time. To be honest, we've been waffling for a little while, so probably time to wrap it up. We've got one quick reminder for anyone who is into good television, comic books, and Scottish accents.
And one
Jessica
of the
Jones.
half of the houses in Australia that have Netflix.
Yeah. Jessica Jones is coming out on Friday. I think we
It's the
agreed on
20th,
Friday?
so it'll be it'll probably be Friday night for us,
Yeah.
I'd say, but
Yeah.
it'll be there over the weekend.
So, weekend, people. We will definitely be discussing it next time we get together to have a chat about the week in gaming and geekery and whatnot.
If we can drag ourselves away from Fallout.
Yeah, the problem might be that we're watching Jessica Jones.
Jessica Jones will be watched this weekend. I'll be ready to talk about it next week.
Yeah, I would have probably been far enough into it to be able to discuss it without looking like a nub.
I'm going to ship the wife and kids off and smash short Saturday, I think.
Yep.
We're all living the dream. So, so I'd just like to say thank you, guys. Thanks, everybody who ends up watching or listening to this. We really appreciate it. Look, in all honesty, it is a work in progress. I think we can all agree on that. If you've got any feedback, we'd love to hear it. If you say nasty words, well, you know,
Darren will.
No one likes it. Yeah, Darren. Look, if you say nice things, Darren will grow a proper beard.
Yeah, Nix is against him on that one.
I'm not allowed to grow a proper beard. We'll just leave it at that. The wife will not allow it.
But yeah, in all seriousness, we do appreciate feedback. We do want to hear what you guys think, or you guy, the single viewer that we're probably going to get for this. You know, we want to know what he thinks. If you like it, let us know. If you hate it, let us know. You know, we want to know what you think, and we'll try and produce something that you guys want to see and hear. And you know, if that means paper bags over heads, then so be it. We'll see what we can do. Be sure to visit our website, www.aussiegeek.com.au. We have a YouTube channel as well, Facebook, Twitter. I think we occasionally stream on Twitch. You know, and we also have a Patreon. So if you like what we're doing here and you'd like to see more of it, please feel free, even just to donate the smallest amount of money possible. Everything helps us produce content that we deliver to you, and that's important to us and hopefully important to you as well. So I'd like to thank Darren.
You are quite welcome.
And I'd like to thank Mick as well.
It's been an absolute pleasure for you.
It has been an absolute pleasure for me. And we look forward to seeing you guys next week. Thanks for listening, /watching, /reading.
Tolerating.